Well, from the latest twists and turns in the Prospect Charter Care deal to Eleanor Slater Hospital, also your consumer complaints, Attorney General Peter Neronha's office is tracking all of that. The Attorney General joining us live via Zoom to fill us in on the very latest. Thanks for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Good to be with you.
Good afternoon. Well, the Prospect Medical Holdings has been in the headlines recently, threatening to close Roger Williams Medical Center and Fatima Hospital ahead of your ruling on their transfer of ownership. We were hearing this week this might end up in court. So what's the latest?
Yeah, look, I think it's important to remember what could be in court. It's really an issue of whether or not I can share with the public what we found in the decision we were prepared to issue last Friday. And so the owners of Prospect wanted an opportunity to try to come in here and convince me that they can provide the guarantees that I believe are necessary to make sure that those hospitals will continue to operate in a way that will serve the people of Rhode Island well for at least the next 5 years. So I've given them that opportunity. We'll see if they can do it. But for right now, where we are is the status quo, which is that the application has been withdrawn. We're in the status quo. There's absolutely nothing about the status quo which would indicate any need to close those hospitals. So that's where we stand. Any
sense of when that court date might happen?
Oh, again, frankly, I don't look at that court date right now as being all that, frankly, important. What really matters is whether or not Prospect will provide the kind of security we need to be assured, not based on promises, to be assured that they will continue to operate into the next 5 years. That issue in court is not about whether my conditions are appropriate or not. That's not what it's about. There's no application pending. What it's about is, can I tell the public what I found? If we get to a point where we haven't resolved any of these surrounding issues, then I'm going to continue to press to share with the public what I found. I think they have the right to know that.
I want to take a look at another hospital issue, Eleanor Slater. Today, state officials telling us staff there again raised concern about the eligibility of certain Medicaid expenses, throwing into limbo about $10 million in retroactive reimbursements. You're investigating the hospital's operations, so when can we expect your findings in this area?
Yeah, Kim, I can't really give you a firm date on that. We're looking at this from a number of angles. Obviously, we're concerned about the level of patient care there. Certainly, to the extent there are issues involving, payments or something like that, we pay attention to that too. But I have a lot of roles as Attorney General. One, of course, is that everyone thinks of as a prosecutor, and a lot of times that's where the attention goes whenever we're involved in anything. But I'm also a regulator, as we see in the context of Prospect, which is Roger Williams and Our Lady of Fatima, and I'm also the healthcare advocate, which means I can speak and should speak on behalf of the people of the state. I am their voice as their lawyer. So we'll see where that review investigation lands in the end, but right now I can't put a timetable on it.
Attorney General, we often hear the phrase, reach out to the AG's office with issues, commonplace with consumer issues. For someone watching at home right now, what types of problems should someone come to your office with, as opposed to calling their local police department first?
Oh, yeah. So look, anytime somebody feels like they are not getting satisfaction, as a consumer, which means you paid for a trip and the airline canceled your flight and you can't get your travel reimbursed, or you've leased a car and you're about to turn in your car and you're not being treated the right way by the dealership, or there's a charge on your utility bill or your credit card bill or some other bill that shouldn't be there. Our consumer unit is helping people in Rhode Island on issues like that literally every single day. The best way to reach us is online or by phone at 274-4400. But that's why they're there. I've got 4 investigators that do that all day long. We get about 600 to 700 calls a month from Rhode Islanders, and we are really in a position to help them. So I'd encourage Rhode Islanders to call when they have that kind of a problem.
Attorney General, we have just about a minute left, but last month you sent a letter to the DEM asking them to pause their review of the application of a proposed medical waste facility in West Warwick. Why did you feel the need to intervene there?
Look, it was in my judgment, at that point in time, there were a number of procedural things that had not yet been addressed. Some of those were certificates from the local municipality and the state planning council as to whether this is an appropriate site for that kind of facility. Equally, if not more importantly, there's a real question as to whether or not this technology is appropriate and will work. The truth is, it hasn't been used around the country. In my view, it hasn't been thoroughly tested. in my view, that's a precondition to granting the kind of permit that they're looking for. And so we were just bringing to DEM's attention our concerns about those very issues. We'll see where DEM goes from here. And then if there's any additional action that we feel we need to take, then we'll analyze that when the time comes. But we really wanted to put a stake in the ground again as a people's lawyer, that there were some things here that weren't what they should be, and we wanted to bring those things to DEM's attention.
Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Neronha, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Good to be with you.